Welcome everybody to Sunday Sauce Pot.
A special edition of Sunday Sauce Pot live on Facebook, where today I am very excited to speak with our guest, Marc-Anthony Massaro. This past Wednesday, July 28th, 2021, Marc Massaro's proposal for the new Wooster Square Monument was accepted by the Wooster Square Monument Committee. Congratulations, Marc, and welcome to Sunday Sauce Pot.
Thank you very much. I am very, very pleased to be here. I thank you for asking me to do this. It's a wonderful thing. Thank you so much.
So, how does this make you feel, Marc? You're part of the new history, and you're changing the old history of Wooster Square in New Haven. What are your thoughts going through your head?
Every day, it hits me a little harder about what this potentially is going to mean. Aside from the monument of Columbus being removed, I always felt that in past years for Columbus Day, I always used to think that it would be nice if there was a monument in New Haven commemorating the Italians who came to that city and contributed extraordinary amounts of their culture on so many levels, culinary, food, the arts, science, and medicine. There's an awful lot of very, very talented Italian Americans in the city of New Haven. And when the monument came down, that was really the catalyst to make me get off my seat and say, all right, it's time for me to start creating something here, because this was a very drastic, abrupt thing to see happen, and a lot of people were very, very hurt by this.
So let me stop you right there, Marc. So the people that are hurt were hurt and still are hurt by this, by Christopher Columbus coming down. What would you like to say to those guys that are totally against this? They're not open-minded to. Here's where I stand on it. Okay, am I glad the statue came down? Absolutely not. Am I open to something like you have in the background? I am open to new ideas. Do I feel it was wrong that it came down? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have something that's beautiful what you've came up with there. So what do you want to say to those people that are totally against the idea, Marc?
Sure. Well, my feelings about this are along the same line as yours, and the monument is down. There is it could be viewed as there really isn't, we shouldn't see things as permanent. I mean, somewhere down the road, the monument may be able to put back up, but I see it as there's separate issues with what was intended about this, but they also tend to blend together. As I said, there were a lot of people that were very hurt by this happening, and my feeling that even with Columbus still there, a need for a monument commemorating Italian immigrants and what they contributed to this country was appropriate. If not on Wooster Square, somewhere in New Haven, something like this should exist. And the idea behind this was, it was motivated by a lot of very personal feelings in my connection to Wooster Square, my family, and how it would relate to other Italian Americans. I always look at this as being, this was for me, the idea behind this was 100 years in the making. My relatives came to this country from Amalfi over 100 years ago, and they settled right in the Wooster Square neighborhood. And, here we are a century later, and, my grandfather lived in that area, and now me as his grandson is making this monument, which also is intended to honor him as my grandfather and also his generation that contributed. And also to, there's so much pain, and I wanted to produce something that would make Italian Americans feel proud, the Italian immigrant, the family unit. That's why this monument looks the way it does. That's why it's not one singular individual. I wanted to depict what my family represented to me. My grandfather was a very strong, hardworking man. My grandmother was the nurturer in the family. She had the strength of holding the whole family together. They had 6 children, one of which was my mother. And my mother always wanted to be an art teacher. And she never was able to achieve that goal because when she got out of high school, my grandfather told her she wasn't going to be able to go to college because she needed to go to work and help contribute to the family because there were all younger people in the family that needed to be fed. So that's why I wanted to depict the young girl in this sculpture as she's holding a book. She's not holding a doll. She's not holding another bag of clothes or something like that. She's holding a book. And that was intentional to represent not only her ability to get an education now in this country, but also to represent what her equality as a woman would be in American culture and in American society, that she could get a job just like a man can because of her education. Yeah. And those were a lot of what was driven in me to create this.
So the little boy, he has his hand out. What is he reaching for?
Well, that is how I derived the title of the thing. The little boy.
What is the title of it, Mark?
The title of this is Indicando la via al futuro, pointing the way to the future. And the little boy, I wanted to leave up to the viewer. Is the little boy pointing at the Statue of Liberty? Is he pointing at the American flag? Is he pointing at the skyline of New Haven as they arrive in New Haven? It's up to the viewer to make what they want it to be of what that little boy is pointing at. But aside from all of that, beyond a doubt, what he is intended to be doing is pointing the way to the future. And the Statue of Liberty and the American flag and the city of New Haven is what all of that represents for that little boy and that family. They're looking into the future. They're about to step into their future, becoming American citizens. Again, that I wanted to include in this because of my family background and what I know what it's like to grow up in an Italian family, and especially having a heritage that goes back over 100 years. There's a lot involved in this and that I included that were very important to me. And not only is the girl wearing a book, you really can't see it, but she also has a little cross around her neck. Her mother's hand that is on her shoulder, you can very clearly see in the sculpture her wedding ring. On all their clothing, you can see that they have the immigration ID tags tied to their clothing as they came into the United States, right? And of course they have their what little belongings they had that they brought, and the clothes on their back.
So
and it was also, as it said in the mission statement, they were looking for something that represented the Italian immigrant experience. It was worded that way. So they were leaving themselves open to a variety of images. I chose to do a family. In my mind, I said, well, what best exemplifies the Italian immigrant experience coming here? And it's family. It is family and the people who pulled up roots and came here. Here is the concept that I came up with of what the monument would look like. So you'll see what I mean by the story panels. And I think you can see that pretty clearly.
Oh, wow.
So this is an illustration that I drew up and painted. There's my monument. Here you see these large metal storyboards that would be set in maybe granite or marble. And these are metal and they're etched. And visitors to the square can walk all around it and on the inside of it and read all about the people who contributed to the city of New Haven, who were specifically of Italian-American descent. Park benches all around it so that you can sit and see the monument from a variety of different angles. And so, this is, as I said, I mean, this again is not something that is final. This is a proposal that they saw. They liked the concept, but this kind of thing, as we move forward, is open to fluctuation, and maybe how the panels are set might be changed, variety of different things. But that's
a really nice vision you got there, Mark. It really adds a new flavor to Wooster Square.
I would like people to look at this and see that our commonalities outweigh our differences, and because of that it creates no reason to want to deface or vandalize something like this, because what it represents is all of us, and all of us in the same boat, being in this country, trying to make a living, trying to get along with each other, trying to live in peace and harmony. And that commonality of the fact that we are all from somewhere else. And that's really how I feel about that. I mean, I feel very, very deeply about that. And that was part of the catalyst of creating this, to offer some sort of soothing resolution to all of the controversy that happened. My last remarks about this would be, if you're of Italian heritage and you look at this, you get it. If you're not, think about what I said about our commonality. There is a way to relate to this, because it shows you that we all came from somewhere else, and in so many ways we're more the same than we are different. And that's how you should perceive this.
Can you bring it closer one more time? Because we are closing, and maybe talk about what's on the front of that plaque, that little, what does that say?
Okay.
Does it say anything?
Yeah, sure. Let me separate this first. Okay, so the front of this has the title, Indicando la via al futuro, pointing the way, the Italian immigrant of New Haven, pointing the way to the future. So something similar to this would go on the life-size version down on Wooster Square. Something that you're, to the effect of what you're seeing
right
here, would be placed on the front of the new monument. All right.
All right, Mark. Thanks a lot. You enjoy the rest of your evening, and thanks a lot for being part of Sunday Sauce Pot.
And to everybody that listened to this, thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. And yeah, we'll be doing this again so you can see progress.
I'm looking forward to it, Mark.